Do you ever wonder why some people, even random strangers, take an instant dislike to you? Maybe you're a bit of a sensitive, or maybe you're an empath. Maybe you know that you are one of these, or maybe you're not sure yet what those labels mean, and you just are looking for an answer of, gosh, you know, I am a nice person. I am truthful and I'm honest, and I mean the best for the world. So why do people instantly repel, or why do they take an instant dislike to me? And if this is a pattern for you, well, then that innately is leading you down the path to let you know that this doesn't happen just sometimes. It happens quite often. And here's the worst part. It leaves you feeling very confused, wondering why, and, you know, and even challenging their own self-esteem if you haven't addressed a lot of your own wounds, or even just understanding this concept that I'm going to share with you about the mirror effect of the empath. And so here I want to share something with you. I'll share a bit of a story, a bit of background with myself. I have always been aware, always been very awake. In fact, I've had the knowing gift since I was a small child. And a lot of that was suppressed, depressed, and denied and pushed away because I grew up in a very deeply, what I call a dogmatic Christian environment, where there were certain elements that were apparently were possible for Jesus and highly spiritual beings, but not possible for a small child. It was kind of like, how could you know that? How could you be that? How could you see that? So I learned to suppress a lot of those gifts until later on in years, but they never went away. I just didn't learn to harness the use of them until recent years, my 30s and 40s. So, and I'm 44 this year at the time of doing this experience, this recording. So what I wanted to just connect with you about, though, is this issue around why do people repel? And one of the things that I did is I was high achiever, high sensitive, but high achiever. I would tend to gravitate towards personal relationships, particularly in partnerships with men, that I would also want to rescue, if you like, because I could see what was going on. But also at the time when I was going through these dysfunctional relationships, is the learning and lessons I needed to create for myself was this self-love and these boundaries and discernment. You can see my recent YouTube or podcast that lets you know about that. You can look for the one around that goes deeper into that concept, but I'm not going to do it here right now. But essentially, when you in the presence of somebody who is not willing to be fully aware of all parts of themselves, particularly the shadow self or parts of themselves that they're denying or repressing, usually for two reasons. One is that they're either trying to fit in, which is the majority of the world, right? That's the core flawed fundamental belief, is that they're suppressing these parts of self because they want to fit in order to not be rejected. And the deep desire, the human need that is unconsciously trying to be fulfilled here is, I want to be loved, right? I need to be loved and I need to be safe. And so a lot of people aren't necessarily living, well, they're not living authentically. They're living with masks. And so if you are in the presence of somebody who is not living authentically, and it's a subconscious experience and it's not done with any malice, well, then that can be really uncomfortable. People are not necessarily aware of that. So right now I'm talking about one of three experiences going on. There's three reasons why people might repel or not like you. The one I'm talking about right now is reflection. So it's that whole mirroring effect of you are literally responding, because you're, as an empath or a sensitive, maybe you know you are, maybe you know you're not yet aware that that's what you are, but you have the ability to feel the emotions of somebody else or see the aspects of somebody else, and you'll mirror it back, and the other person is not yet ready to witness that or see that, or they don't like it, or maybe they even despise it, and they'll then incorrectly project that back onto you because it's, in their eyes, it's you that's making them uncomfortable. They're being triggered and they don't want to deal with it, so they think it's you. There is another very small percentage in there though, right? So there's a small percentage of people that do the hiding with malice, and it's because they're wanting to manipulate. They've got their own agenda and they don't want to be caught out. Now, that's along the whole spectrum of between narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder, sociopathy and psychopathy. That's the experience. But the majority of people that might repel are not necessarily along that spectrum. They're just not necessarily awake. They're asleep. They're not aware, and they're not willing to be aware, and they're not willing to do the inner work. So that's just one aspect that to address this situation. Here's another challenging experience. The second one is your vibration. You are a bright being of light and love. And while most people say they want that, they're not actually in a resonance, a vibrational resonance to match your vibrational speed, which, if you're a being of love and light, which you're being a light worker or an empath or a sensitive, the more that you do the inner work, the more you do your spiritual gym work, as I say, and strengthen that empathic ability that you have, the empath ability and the ability to have self-love and boundaries and discernment, well, then the brighter that your light becomes. And while moths like to be drawn to the flame, they don't want to be burnt. And for them, if they come to the light because it's what they want, they're envious of it, but they're not yet skilled or in awareness, first and foremost, but also in energy harnessing to be able to match you in that vibration, to be in that field. And so it's easier for them to tear you down and pull you down or run away and avoid you, because it just reflects too much within them. So I really need you to understand this. It's not about you. And it's really important, because we hear this, don't take it personally, but what does that mean? Well, this really means don't take it personally. And just having these understanding around these concepts, it really helps, right? So the third aspect, so we've got reflect, and then we've got the vibrate, and then the third one I want to mention is hibernate. Hibernate means, as light workers and beings, what our core being on the earth is transmutation of energy. We're shifting energy, we read, we detect and we read, and then we process energy. But the thing is, we can't process other people's energy. We need to be discerning of being aware of what's our energy and what's not. And sometimes, because we're in a 3D world, we're on this planet, and there's a lot going on, and a lot of people are stressed, they're operating from fear, and including us, right? So we're going to be consciously aware all the time. Hang on, is this coming from a fear-based thinking or love-based thinking? But life happens, and we have our own goals and dreams and pursuing, and then we have we're meeting the demands and needs of other people. And so quite often, if you're anything like me, you can be quite out there in the world doing what you need to do, and then all of a sudden you just need to contract and shut down so that you can have some stillness time, some time to reflect, some time to renew, because you charge from within, not from without. You don't, people, your energy is pulsating out quite a lot. We give a lot of energy, and so when it comes to refueling, it's from the source. So we want that time out. We want to turn the chatter off. We want to be able to not have to respond to other people's demands, or not even have our brains stimulated with just one more thing, right? And so that stillness or that hibernation can be misinterpreted as being aloof or cold or inconsistent, and then people will project their judgments about that onto you because of their own insecurities. And so they might, out of resentment or out of punishment, avoid you, move away, or disconnect. And again, it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you, and that's really often when I'm working with my clients, it's a fundamental dominating thought. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why aren't I liked? Why am I being picked on? Why am I being bullied? Why do people suddenly not like me or hate me for no reason? Why are they trolling me? And well, hopefully this video and podcast has shed some light on that for you and provided some value for you to understand the mirror effect of the empath or the light worker, or just, I call it the moth to the flame, so, but it wants to come in, but then it's not be able to connect with the light either. So helping you understand, and I hope that has brought lots of value. If you love this, please subscribe, like, love, share, tag a friend, share the message, and make sure that you subscribe so that you stay in touch for future content. Thank you.